Welcome back to the farm vlog. My apologies, I've been terrible about posting this summer. Things got crazy and I got busy, but it's just shy of a year of us purchasing this place, and the first video I ever did here was like after we owned it for 3 weeks. So this is a 1 year, 11 months update, but I'm gonna try to follow the same path I did last year as much as I can. So the field last year was all a cover crop. This year it got sown into oats, and then with oats as a nurse crop and then grass. Ended up with our first cut, we didn't get a second. We were in a severe drought this year, so I'm happy with what I got, but I ended up with like 3.5, almost 4 tons of the acre off first cut. So I will not complain about that. So we got a little bit for ourselves, and it's seeded and ready to go for next year. So that worked out well. Definitely a few lessons learned there, but for hooking the drill up and just giving her and getting it in late in April, I'm not going to complain. Hoop building, nothing's changed. We did a bunch of cleanup here, and that's where we got a little discouraged a little while back, the wife and I, and then we kind of watched my first video. It's like, geez, we came a long way. So you couldn't walk through here, and I still wouldn't 100% use this, but next year this is just going to be lawn, hopefully. But got all of that cleaned up here. Fencing, the fencing, the joys. So let me tootle myself over here. So this is just a little temporary pasture pen we put up just to let them eat it down, because it's super rough to mow with the lawnmower, and I just didn't want to, but that'll go away. But otherwise, we got 2 pastures, this one and that one, 100% done the way we want to, 100% finished. Well, as 100% as it's going to be. The pasture there and now, we just picked the fence up to let them get in there and graze it. It's not perfect, but it's usable, and they're happy. So middle pasture, which isn't amazingly big, but it just lets us rotate them around. Junk is now hiding instead of being in plain view. So we did end up having to, my machine shed, when we did the little bit of testing, I only had 16 amps of electrical service. So if you see how tore up this is, that's because we came in over Memorial Day weekend and backhoed in an entirely new electrical service, which we had to split it off from that house over there, which don't pay attention to that. Again, that ain't us. And put in our own meter, and now we have a 200 amp service running into the shed, so I can actually run my air compressor and have lights. It's amazing. Before, if I turned the air compressor on, the lights went off. But yeah, it was 16 amps. We stuck an amp clamp on it, and that's all we got. I didn't show inside this building the last time because it still had a lot of the previous owners' belongings in it, and it's just not my place. But this is now just storage for us. But before, it was basically 3/4 of it was a chicken coop. You can see where that 2x4 is there. Everything from back there was all caged in for chickens, and this front half was just storage for them as well. But so you can see now we got hay, and I've been accumulating lumber from various family members that are moving or this or that, and yeah. We got that cleaned up. This building got a coat of paint. It needs a lot more, but we had sister and brother-in-law from the wife's sister, my brother-in-law, yeah, their family, and they had 4 kids, and I got a bucket of paint and a bunch of brushes and said, here, have fun. And it went from looking like that to that. Big change. Good enough. I'm not going inside that building because that one's just going to be its own video in and of itself. But that one, we started laying up all these blocks we found and making a nice little steps in and out for ourselves. So yeah, that, and I completely forgot about it, but there used to be a dog kennel building there, and that went down the road. Like literally, we sold it, and they picked up a skid loader, set it on a trailer, and gone. Oh, what have we all done in here? I guess from the first video, so wife pulled out the dividers. yes, we need to clean stalls. Well, this afternoon project, well, it's 65 degrees in the end of October. But she pulled out dividers to give her horses a little more room because my wife has a affliction for giant horses. Well, I can't say giant horses, there's bigger, but big horses nonetheless. So yeah, and on the horse thing, we'll talk to that. Those have changed slightly, 30%. But got all the lights actually working in here, redid some of the electrical, so now the floodlights on each end of the building are on their own circuit. So before it was you turn on one light and switch and everything came on, which is just not efficient in the slightest, because why run big halogen floods outside when you got the doors closed? So now we got light switches here and there, and there's also a yard light on top of that in the peak of that building. Yeah, my father and I enjoy doing electrical work, and let's just say there's been a lot of recycling of stuff we have accumulated. So it's done to code, but if anyone ever goes to look at it, 5 years from now, not knowing why we did what we did, they're gonna think we were probably off our rockers, but that's all good. Oh, sorry, you gotta clang the gate around. It's a habit we have, is you open it, you just shut it right behind you, don't let them swing. So first pasture, this is the first one we got fenced in. We got this done like the week before the horses came out. That was a last weekend thing. We had a bunch of PVC pipe laying around from the previous owners. They just left it, and some of it we just salvaged back. So instead of having to stretch out 2 hoses now we have that nice little contrabulation. It works. And then we also pulled over. Dad just managed to salvage that. It's a campground box. You flip it open, you got power inside of it and breakers, like you pull your RV in. Well, he just happened to come up with one of them, so now that's why we plug in stock tanks for not running extension cords. So yeah, otherwise this pasture, I'm gonna try to go the route I took last year, but that's not gonna happen because I'm not gonna hop the fence now like I did last time. That was only 6 foot tall, or not 6 foot, like 2 foot tall. But yeah, just while I think of it, previous owner's horse, Abby, who I mentioned I think in the first video. Oh yeah, we propped that up so it didn't fall over more. She was still here. She was like 37, I think, at the time. 35, 37. She actually passed in about January last year, unfortunately. She came out here in the morning. We were burning a brush pile that was over there in the corner. We'll walk by it. Was burning that, came out here in the morning, and she was just being a horse and just enjoying life. And they told me she would lay down and literally make little horsey angels. Well, she was doing that and just trotting around, and we came back a couple hours later, check on the fire, and she was gone. But such is life. I mean, she was old, so at least she passed in a peaceful manner. But yeah, so this is fenced in. When we actually get this all done, it's going to actually be 4 pastures. We're going to have an L-shaped piece on the end, which we haven't. That's the next mission, is that. But as you see how overgrown it is, and this was just a year for ragweed, unfortunately. So we're going to probably burn that in the spring and try and get that fenced in. So yeah. But no, otherwise, just every time also we seem to walk through the pasture or turn it up at all, we keep finding horseshoes or old fence. So fencing around here is a slow going process. So yeah, otherwise, say 4 pastures now. And I think my first video, this wasn't here, so we're actually cutting them differently than how the previous owners had it, which is totally fine. That means we can rotationally graze it a little better. I think the plan for next year is, we had to seed the field this year. We're going to try and seed some of this and get this a little more cleaned up. But again, it's just slow going, and this was not the year to do a bunch of grass and lawn work, so I'm just happy we got what we got. But no, this is actually where, if you look back, there's a giant burn pile. Actually, it's stacked up a skid loader. That's where that was. And ironically, Abby passed right around the time that we had that going, and we burnt all the frost out of the ground, so they were actually able to bury her in the middle of January, which worked out well. I mean, nobody liked that. I mean, heck, even we were kind of starting to like Abby. Heck, the wife's a horse whisperer, I swear. Is the fence off? Yeah, yes, it is off. I kind of remembered that. I thought so. Okay. So, yeah, this is now what we kind of are referring to as the middle pasture. Like I said, you got gates up there. That one's going to end up getting bigger at some point, but it is what it is. We did cut. I mean, there was, yeah, just thinking. So that tree was fully up, and it actually went over. Half of it went over in a windstorm. The other half was headed right at that dog kennel building, and I said, no, I have that for sale right now. So in the middle of the wind, I ended up tipping it, and yeah, that was I almost got killed that day because I was going to use the wind to tip it how I wanted it, and then literally I cut it, had it notched, and the wind stopped blowing. Then it came back, but I didn't die. But yeah, and there's the next burn pile, or one of them. We literally have a burn pile in every pasture at some point, but such is life. I mean, we're just picking up what we got. That pile's back where it used to be, but again, just more and more. The woven wire fence, like the mesh like panels, that this place pretty much was all fenced in. We didn't realize, but some of that's buried 6 or 8 inches in the ground, so I was actually having to rip it out with a backhoe to get it out of the ground and going. So yeah, that's this next time I can get a backhoe, we're gonna try and clear out a bunch of these stumps and that. Right now it's just equipment's tough to get a hold of. There ain't a lot of stuff for rent. There ain't a lot of stuff for sale, so you just kind of make do with what you got. But yeah, this is fencing round 2. There will be a gate going here. We just fenced across it because we weren't intentionally gonna plan on putting them in there, but then we kind of just decided to last minute. But so I'll have to build a custom gate for here because it's gonna probably be like an 11-foot, 11-foot 6 3/4 inches to make it right, or something stupid like that. But oh yeah, I need to come back and backfill all those post holes. I was in kind of a hurry when I put this up, so yeah, I need to do that. Under fence number 1. Walking, still walking. This is where, to make this work, we kind of just cut it weirdly, but it just worked for us. Huh, I wonder where the critters went. I saw them this morning. They're here. So yeah, this was a quickie in a hurry. Let's just get this in. Oh, there they are. Oh, there's a spot better down here. So yeah, this originally went that way and then tied in over there, and it was so bad we just kind of cut it loose and made it what we needed to, just to get the critters into grass for the end of the year, just to get this eaten down, because as much as we don't like putting them in places where we don't know where everything is, we can't really find it until they maul the grass to the point that it's gone. So yeah, this I had mowed down last year. I mowed it, or I should say I had the neighbor take a good chunk of this, whatever they wanted to with first crop hay. So we got like one completely full size grass round, and then we got a lot of oat grass. And well, if you saw my last video, squirreling again, this half I got completely burnt to the field. This half kind of burnt. Well, everywhere I burnt, I had a large amount of volunteer alfalfa. So I accidentally grew some really good cattle hay, which I just turned around and sold, and then bought grass hay. So yeah, this is what we're now referring to as the east pasture. The next giant burn pile, which is still not even close to getting done. And fun fact, there is a giant multiflora rose bush in the middle of that I hate. So it's gonna go to, it's gonna have a bad day when we light that up. So yeah. So yeah, otherwise, there's Bumbo, or well, Buster, but we just start calling him Bumbo. He's the half-blind one. Right, Bumbo? He's my little buddy now. And then these two, and that one's actually different from the first video. or well, when we had horses show up. So the one we were boarding went to her new home, and then things kind of got weird for us. We had 2 for a while, and then we're back up to 3. So yeah, that will be I'll let the wife explain, but this is Boomer. Boomer is actually his mother. So yeah, keeping it in the family, I guess. And then here's the wife's beloved giant dopey mare. Hey, Spunk. You just are happy to eat everything, aren't you? So yeah, well, this is the farm update, not quite a year later. So plenty more in here. The iron update's gonna happen here probably in a month or so, because I got a few more last minute things to possibly purchase. But thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more. Hopefully it'll be better next year.